Manipulation is all around us. There are so many people in our daily lives who are looking to manipulate and convince others to go along with what they want, to the point that it can feel like everyone is out to get the others. There are a few situations where manipulation can become more apparent, and when you look through a few of them, you may start to realize that you have already dealt or are currently dealing with. So, here are a few of these manipulation tactics, often used by manipulators. Number 1. Home court advantage. Someone who is trying to manipulate another person is always going to try and gain the upper hand in the situation. They may find that it is easier to invite their victim to a meeting or to interact in another way, in a physical space where the manipulator will be able to exercise more control and dominance. The manipulator may choose to meet with their victim to discuss something in the car, office, home, or in some other space where they feel more ownership and familiarity, while the victim may not be familiar with these at all. The victim will usually agree to meet in this place because they think that the manipulator is nice and hospitable. This allows the manipulator to have the upper hand that they are looking for, but the victim is not going to realize that this is what is going on until it is too late. Number 2. Allowing you to speak first. Many manipulators like to allow their victim to speak first. This can work in several ways. First, the victim is going to leave with the false sense that they were the ones in charge, or that the manipulator was deferring back to them. But in reality, the manipulator likes to let their victim speak first so that they can get a baseline for where the victim is, sniff out any of the weaknesses, and then uses this to their own advantage along the way. This is something that you will see with sales quite a bit. The salespeople will ask their victim some general and probing questions. This allows them to establish the baseline of the victim's behavior and thinking. From here, they can get a good idea of your weaknesses and strengths. This type of questioning will have a hidden agenda, and we may be able to find it in other places of our lives, such as in personal relationships and in the workplace. Number 3. Changing around the facts. If the manipulator is able to change up some of the facts that are present in the discussion, they are going to do so. They are especially going to do this if they find that changing up the facts will put them in a better light. There are a lot of examples of this that we can see in our day-to-day lives. They may show a one-sided bias of the issues, or work with exaggeration. Sometimes, the manipulator will strategically withhold information that is key to the victim making a good decision. They may try to blame the victim for causing their own victimization. They may deform the truth. They may lie and make excuses up as well. Number 4. Adding in lots of statistics and facts. There are some manipulators who like to use the idea of intellectual bullying against their victim. This is done when the manipulator presumes to be the expert and the one who is the most knowledgeable in certain areas. The manipulator is going to be able to accomplish this technique by taking advantage of their victim using alleged facts, statistics, and some other data, especially if this information is stuff that the victim may not know much about. We may see this kind of tactic when we are looking at financial and sales situations. In these, the professional is going to presume that they have the expert power over you, and they hope that because of this, they will be able to push through their own agenda onto you easier. Some people like to use this kind of technique just for the benefit of feeling a sense of intellectual superiority over other people. Number 5. Overwhelming you with red tape. In some cases, the manipulator is going to work to overwhelm their victims with the use of a lot of red tapes and a lot of procedures. This is a tactic that is known as bureaucracy. This is going to include a lot of laws, and by laws, procedures, paperwork, committees, and a ton of other roadblocks that are put in place simply for the idea of making the life of the victim more difficult. In addition to helping the manipulator have the upper hand over their victim, the manipulator could use this technique in order to delay any truth-seeking and fact-finding. It is a good way to distract the victim who may be catching on to the manipulator, and it can help hide the weaknesses and flaws of the manipulator while ensuring that they are able to evade scrutiny as much as possible. Number 6. Raising their voice to showcase the negative emotions. The next thing that the manipulator could do is raise their voices to make sure that the victim knows that they are going through negative emotion. This can often happen during a discussion to showcase a form of aggressive manipulation. The assumption of the manipulator here is that if they project their voice and make it loud enough, or if they display enough negative emotions, the victim is more likely to submit and give the manipulator what they want. Along with the loud and aggressive voice, the manipulator is often going to work on their body language to get the message across a bit more. They will make sure that their body language is strong, such as standing tall or using a lot of gestures that show anger, excitement, and more in order to increase the impact of what they are saying. Number 7. Surprises that are done in a negative manner. Some manipulators like to work with surprises that are considered negative in order to put their victims off balance, and because it allows them to gain the psychological advantage. There are several ways that the manipulator is able to do this. They could lowball during a situation of negotiations, or the manipulator could have a sudden profession that they won't be able to come through and do the thing that they had promised before. In most cases, the unexpected negative information is going to come to the victim without any warning. This makes it hard for the victim to prepare and try to counter the move in the way that they would like. In the end, the manipulator could ask for some additional concessions from their victim in order to continue working together. Number 8. Limiting the amount of time to decide. One technique that can be really useful for a manipulator is to limit the amount of time that the other person gets to make a decision. When the victim feels like they are limited on time, they are more likely to go along with what the manipulator wants, even though they aren't sure about the decision and they weren't given the right time to think it all through. And this is exactly what the manipulator wants to see to happen. The idea of giving the victim little time to decide on things is a common negotiation and sales tactic. This is where the manipulator is going to put some pressure on the other person to make up their decision, often before the victim is ready to make that decision. When you apply the tension and the control over the other person, the hope is that they are going to crack, and then they will give in to the demands of the aggressor. That's it for today. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.